Peace, Power 7 Podcast. It's me once again, the Almighty Nicodemus, back in full effect once again for another Power 7 Podcast, coming at you live and direct on the lunch break. You know what I'm saying? Out here, feeling blessed as everyone should be. The reason that I'm blessed is because I woke up this morning and I was breathing. I'm able to use 2 arms, 2 legs, and 1 head to get out here to make it happen for me and mine. And you should be feeling blessed if you're out here able to do the same thing as well, because there's a lot of people that ain't able to do. So once again, Almighty Nicodemus, Power 7 Podcast. Today's topic is really this. Something that gets us a little tangent I may go on, but you know, I look online right before I leave on my lunch break. I look on Twitter and I see a young brother comment. He pretty much says, you know, rappers from the 90s would not be that good in today's era. Most of those guys were average. Y'all just be going through nostalgia. Now, that's not a direct quote because I ain't reading it. I'm just freestyling what I read. And then I proceed to look at the comments because, of course, something like that, you already know somebody's going to respond. So, somebody responds and they give a couple examples. The example I'm going to use for my analogy of this situation is Ice Cube. Somebody brings up Ice Cube, you know, and the guy that made the post, he's like, man, Ice Cube, you know, he was good in his prime, but that shit wouldn't translate now. So, here we go. J. Cole, and he says J. Cole would smoke Ice Cube. So, here we go. This is how I look at it. Because unless you're a Marty McFly and you got a DeLorean and you hanging out with Doc right here or whatever his name was in the movie, you not going back to the past and stealing a camcorder and showing us what the hell J. Cole can do back then. So this is what I'm going to do. J. Cole, Jermaine Cole, if he were to come out in the 90s, particularly the time that Ice Cube came out. So let's say J. Cole was born the same age as Ice Cube, born in 1969, and grew up in Fayetteville, North Carolina, and came out with his first album in 1988 or 1989. He wouldn't be the same J. Cole that he is now. He would be a totally different J. Cole than what we have now. Because the politics would have been different. The way he dressed would have been different. Mind you, he's growing up in the 70s and the 80s in Fayetteville, North Carolina. So the politics are different. Everything is different. We don't know what he's going to rap like by that time during those times. Because that means he's got to grow up in that time. I mean, he had to grow up during those times and actually come out the way he's going to spit. Now, he ain't going to be the same J. Cole he is now. Hell, J. Cole probably will have a Jerry curl too. I don't know. But he's coming out of Fayetteville, North Carolina in the late 80s to early 90s. This is not the same gentleman. But we do know what Ice Cube would sound like now because Ice Cube is still rapping now. We know that someone like Nas is still rapping now and he's from the 90s. We know what the 90s rappers sound like now. Most of them that are still relevant, we know what they sound like now because they're still rapping now. And the thing is, a lot of these guys that have come out, and trust me, I do not have any issues with a lot of the younger cats that have come out in the 2000s, mid-2000s, the guys that came out, and like a lot of them. A lot of those guys had blueprints. They had things to work off of. The industry had a standard that they had already made for these rappers to go ahead and move off of. So to sit up here and kind of be like, well, you know, Cole would have been rapping circles around Cube. You don't know if he would have been rapping circles around Cube in Cube's prime because we don't know what a 1991 J. Cole even sounds like. Is he running around with a jerry curl? Does he have big gold chains on and a fade? Or, I don't know. Does he have gold teeth? Does he have an African medallion? Is he rocking dashikis? We don't know. We don't know because he didn't grow up then. He grew up in a different time, and there had already been a path and a blueprint made for a lot of these guys, for the Kendricks, the Coles, the Tylers, a lot of these brothers, man. And I like a lot of them. I bump a lot of their music, but those guys had the benefit of seeing and having a blueprint of what to go off of, and then how to use their image with it. The blueprint back then was kind of shaky, and it was still new. And so you have what you have. And that's just a quick thing. And it's the same analogy, when it comes to sports, when it comes to basketball. We talk about LeBron and Michael Jordan. If LeBron comes out, when Michael Jordan comes out and is drafted into the NBA in 1984, 1985, he is not the same LeBron James. He's not going to be the same LeBron James because he's going to grow up in a different time. He's going to be coached to play basketball in a different way, especially with his size and strength. Probably won't even be handling in the Rock. You never know. Unless he's a Magic Johnson, it's possible. We don't know because we don't own a DeLorean and our name ain't Marty McFly. Can Jordan play basketball now? No, he's old. His body couldn't handle it. He'll get dunked on or ran over. I don't care how competitive he is. He ain't strong enough, fast enough, or quick enough at this age. So we'll never know. So all of this young and old versus each other, we gotta stop. We gotta stop. They're doing this stuff, and sometimes it's cool to talk about it, but once it starts becoming a rerun where it's something that's getting discussed every 2 weeks, once every 2 weeks, twice a week, 3 times a week, when you know you're going to hear about it at least 4 times a week or 4 times a month, you know you're going to hear about these continuous conversations. All it's doing is creating a bigger divide between the generations. And before I go out and say peace, listen. It's been all over the news. Sean, Puff, Diddy, Daddy Combs going through a lot. It's been everywhere. All I can say is that brother is finna go through a lot. I guess he didn't have a quick enough heads up like Russell Simmons. But as always, when it comes to things of that nature, he's a cog in a very huge, humongous wheel. And until we take out that wheel, we cut the head off of the actual snake, we'll end up with another Sean, Puffy, Diddy, Daddy Combs, if everything they say is true about him and it comes out with his day in court. We'll just have another one. He's not the end, he's not the beginning. When we find out, it's going to be something else. But once again, it's your boy, the Almighty Nicodemus, Power 7 Podcast. Peace.